is Jeremy Martin from Cinco Medicos, and in today's video, I want to talk a little bit about the difference between healing and being cured, and why I think this is so important with regards to how we treat plant medicine experiences and healing in general. Now, the way I see things is healing is knowing yourself. It's going back to the heart and understanding who you are at a very basic but fundamental and deep level. It's knowing my history, my bloodline. It's knowing my traditions, how I was raised and why. It's knowing the culture that I'm in, all my environment. It's knowing why I relate to others and behave in a certain way. It's knowing my emotions and every one of my reactions. Healing is not, I'm fine, I feel fine now. That, to me, is closer to the cure. And that's not health. It has value because it might temporarily assuage or take care of that which is afflicting or ailing you. But to heal, for you to really be healed, you have to understand all of the things I just mentioned and eat properly, drink properly, breathe properly, think properly, feel properly, work properly every single day, day in, day out, moment to moment. For you to be cured, well, you can just take something externally from the outside, like taking a substance or listening to a wisdom talk, whatever, hanging out with friends, that takes care of whatever that was affecting you right now or around then. And there is value to that. Say you go out to a coffee shop and hang out with friends, and then you feel better after having had a laugh. You feel a little bit cured, but that's not healing. And so I said there's value to that, but then something else will come up in its place, like a new trigger, a new external circumstance that might arouse something within you, and then you'll have to address it all over again with something externally. Health is really something that you have to hold on to after a lot of work's been put into. You can get cured from a retreat, say a plant medicine retreat, but then mistake it as healing because you feel good now, and then gradually it's like the process starts to unravel. Whereas healing is the actual process itself. You say, "Oh, the reason I was depressed was because I'm a mammal and I need to feel like I belong to a social group. But because something happened to me when I was young in my social group, I became a little bit more introverted and I started to read a lot. And then I started to write more, and that kind of made me depressed because I didn't talk to other people. And depression also runs in my father's side of the family. And the way I was raised made me perceive myself as the victim and other people as the perpetrator. So I didn't take responsibility for my own actions. And instead, I wanted to appear a little morally superior to others in a way that others approved of. So I became a high achiever at school and work and a people pleaser in general. And so, because I wanted to be liked by others and still needed to feel like I belonged to a group, that meant I subconsciously followed what culture said was the thing to do. But then I came to resent authority because I saw other people as perpetrators and vaguely blamed others for my own problems and all the decisions that I was making. And so I got a job, I chose to get a job that I would hate just to fit in, and subconsciously became bitter about what I chose to do and about taking orders from other people. And the cultural thing to do where I was living at the time was to go to bars and let loose and find temporary relief. So I started drinking socially and smoking socially, and then too much, and then on my own, and then not sleeping well or taking care of myself. In large part because I never learned how to take care of myself as a young kid. Because my mother grew up in a big family and never got enough love and attention. And my father wasn't home a lot because he worked a lot to support. You see where all this is going? you know, it's a complicated process of acknowledging every part of our reality, every part of our past, present, and potential future, and of how we create our reality the way we do, of the identities we've assumed, of the conscious, subconscious, and unconscious patterns that affect our perceptions. All of this can take many years to truly understand, let alone lifetimes to integrate. Lots of discipline, lots of consistency, lots of showing up, lots of deep insights that you can't get from or explain to anyone else but you, given the limits of language's precision and the way we communicate now. So, taking a deep breath from all this, with all those highs and lows, really what we can only say is that we can only heal through experiencing life, through knowing ourselves more through life. That's healing. That has real, lasting value and meaning and joy and peace. And the thing is, anything that confers real, lasting value can't ever be taught. You can't read it in 1,000 books. You can't attend 1,000 sermons. It has to be learned inwardly through direct experience, often many times over a long period of time, so that you become the living memory of your own evolution. Just going to one ayahuasca or one San Pedro ceremony, that's a fine start or continuation, maybe, but that's closer to self improvement. Maybe it cures your low mood for a few weeks. Maybe it gives you some clarity about anxiety or reboots your nervous system somewhat so that you can get back on track and feel less burnt out or whatever. And that's good. Like I said, there is value to that, but it's not healing. It isn't, it's just curing something, it's just treating something, which is relatively easy and quick. Whereas healing is often hard and slow. It takes time. It's no different than if you were to train for a marathon. Would you do sprints for a week or 2 weeks? Would you do that, or would you plan your workouts? Would you space them out strategically over a long period of time, slowly, methodically, in the right way? Maybe consult a trainer, maybe talk to friends who have run races that way. Then do your own stretching, your own running, swimming, resting, nutrition, hydration, recovery. Maybe you get injured and get set back a little bit and so forth, so that you can actually ultimately run a good race and even enjoy it, and then continue to run races and enjoy those. And that to me is more akin to healing. It's a long, arduous process. And in modern culture, most people are concerned with cures, with something closer to self improvement, because we're concerned with where we're going and what we want to do. We're concerned with how we want to improve ourselves, and understandably so. But what's underlying that strategy is a lack of vision, because we're trying to accomplish or reach our goals. We're always trying to get somewhere, and that is our ego. And so we're being driven by the ego without understanding it, without understanding why the ego is driving us. And the ego is neither good nor bad. The ego is a program, it's a tool. But if you know how to use the tool or program yourself, you can do what you want. You can also be used, just like technology, by the technology, by the program, by the ego. And so in that way, you're always going to try to be getting something out of something or someone else. You're always going to be chasing goals which are not your true intentions. A goal is to move to Vermont. An intention is to be at peace wherever I am. And I'm not saying all of this because of my ego. I'm using my ego, because I understand it and know it, to say this. I know how to use my program to say what I want to say. I'm using the tool because I've taken time to heal, because I know I'm not the tool. I know I'm not the ego. I know I'm that which creates and observes the ego and its experiences. And one of the world's biggest problems, especially in healing, but just generally speaking, is not knowing it's not the ego. It's identifying with the identities. And that's because we're searching for cures. We're searching for quick fixes to a problem right here, right now, which causes more problems right here, right now, rather than going through a deeper knowing of who we are, of being really patient with that process, being really with that process. And it used to be, like I was describing earlier, that my ego used me. My emotions completely took me over. I would have panic attacks. I was diagnosed as bipolar, which is really funny to me now, because my emotions were just tacking me left and right like a sailboat, and I just was completely out of control. But now I use my ego, and that's only because, again, I've spent a lot of time healing, understanding my programming, where it comes from, how it works, and why, rather than trying to escape from it. And even in spirituality, actually, I'll say especially in spirituality, there seems to exist a deep yearning to always achieve something: bliss, enlightenment, samadhi, nirvana, 5D ascension, like all the stuff that implies that wherever we're going is not good enough, and that we're not good enough where we are. We're not worthy unless we do something or go somewhere better than before or where we are. It's all conditional thinking that if I do this, then that will happen, and if I'm something else, then I will have something else, and then I'll be healed. But that's so delusional. It's not even funny. It really just runs us in circles. We basically only approve of outcomes rather than love what is without conditions, which is actually more conducive to healing itself. And if we're always seeking something else, we're never finding. If we're always doing, we're never being. If we're always trying to go there, we're never here. It's why people like Ram Dass are like, be here now. It's pretty fucking simple. What happens once we get there is we always are on our way to somewhere else, so we're unhappy wherever we are. Rather than understand who we are, wherever we are, rather than celebrate and enjoy what we've done and what we're doing, we escape what we believe to be better than what is. So I hope this gives a little bit of clarity to people who are on the healing path, both to encourage you to have more patience with the process and to enjoy it, to celebrate the process, because that is key to healing. The problem with always looking for being cured because you're in so much pain is actually the reason you're looking for healing in the first place. The problem is that you're always escaping from what is back to what is. That you're trying to get to heaven from earth is exactly what makes hell possible. And you're already here. You just can't see it because you're trying to escape it. And it's all just a matter of perception. When you understand all that, again, through lots of time, effort, and non-effort, we start to become more responsible. You start to become more responsible for yourself. We realize that we can't escape the matrix. We are the matrix. We know ourselves more, and so we heal ourselves more. And because we know ourselves, we can be ourselves. We feel more comfortable in our own skin. We know who we are and who we're not. We use our ego rather than our ego using us. And the more you listen to other people, for example, how I was talking earlier about looking for things outside of ourselves, well, then the more like them we try to be. Instead, I encourage you to listen more to yourself so that you can be more like you. And as Dr. Seuss said, no one's youer than you. you know? So if you want things to be different, there's good news. They always are different. The only constant is change and impermanence and all that Buddhist stuff. But with healing, look for the long, hard road, okay? But also enjoy the long, hard road. Enjoy the marathon. Be strategic about it. Rest, hang out, and don't take everything so goddamn seriously. Don't always be looking for these magic pills or bullets and sign up just for one ceremony. Really commit. Or don't commit at all. Don't do it at all. Like if plant medicine doesn't call to you, don't do it, man. Just don't do it because other people are telling you to do it. Do it because you really, truly want to and feel called to do it. And with that, I hope this video has been helpful. If not, watch something else or nothing else. All right, goodbye.